India, especially where we bring in. And we have been privileged to host such amazing leaders in this space as panelists and speakers. So, IROF Technologies has played a key role in building this concept, identifying this gap, and enabling this series of sessions and a platform. So, very, very warm welcome to all of you here, and especially our panel members, to Commander Navneet Kaushik, to Tom Thomas, and I think even Anil joined us, right? Did I just see Anil? Anil Joshi? Uh,
Anil said he will be joining shortly only. He is
okay.
slightly running late.
I thought I did. I thought I mistook Ajay to Anil. So Anil Joshi, some amazing speakers, along with our very own leadership team and founders of IROF Technologies, Johns and Kanappa. Kanappa, as you will keep hearing me call KP, he will join in even if he's traveling. But having said that, these two are my rock stars of this ecosystem. Yes, I'm a little partial when it comes to praising them because I've seen them closely build something that not many leaders do. So there's a lot coming ahead. But before that, as I said, there's a surprise for all of you. A very big surprise. Shall I tell the surprise to speak? Because next Tech Dive, I take this privilege and honor to hand this torch of leading, moderating, executing, rolling out, and building this global brand to none other than VR, as I call him, Venkat Raman. He's here with us looking all handsome and ready and powered up. But for me, he's my successor for Tech Dive. So, would you like to take a minute and welcome everybody, Venkat?
Sure. Thank you, Salma. It was such a warm introduction, though. And Commander, thank you so much for joining once again on the special day. It's Indian Navy Day. So thank you so much. It's such a honor to have you with us. To everyone, good evening. My name is Venkataraman, and I've been a brand marketing guy for about 15 years in consumer and service sectors. And now joining IROV, kind of, it's a mixed feeling, and it's like masks a kind of the entry into the deep tech and defense tech. Why? Because this is a space I believe where marketing directly connects with the national capability building, right? So I firmly believe in this, and the team kind of they really inspire me. And what inspires me about the team here is developing all those indigenous technology that strengthens maritime security and also critical infrastructure across the globe. So I'm very, very happy to be part of this. And Salma, it's a big shoe to fill in. I'll try my best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I guess I don't need to say anything more. I guess all of you agree. I think VR is the best to take this lead forward in Tech Dive, and we all welcome him to this family of IROV and Tech Dive.
Thank you
So,
so
with
much.
that, let's jump into the topic, right? So, in the last four editions, TechDive has captured multiple technical topics, challenges, issues that have been coming forward in various ways. We have captured different sectors, different aspects, different trends coming up. We've taken quite a big, quite a deep dive into multiple topics. But then everything comes down to this very key aspect of today's topic, and that is investments, money, especially in a sector like this. Now, there are two different sides to this investment sector. I mean, investments when a mindset comes from an industry, right? There are two sides to it. I've personally come across founders, entrepreneurs who kind of assume that they are a part of a wave. They surf through the wave, right? Oh, I'm in deep tech, I'm in dev tech, I'll get the funding, I'll get the grants, I'll get the leap easily, right? And then there is this other side where they know that it's a heavy investment sector, getting his investments are tough, and most often they are not even aware of the various funds or institutionals and even grants and things that are available for them for the funding. So we're going to look at it from a different vantage point here. There are different very specific topics which we are going to cover. Like, very quickly, the first speaker, Commander Navneet, will be talking about like funding pathways for India's next generation defense tech, right? So that's a very critical thought process that we're going to jump into. Then I see Anil. Hey, Anil, good to have you here as always. I don't know if you remember me, but we've connected long, 10,000 years back. But good to see you again.
Hey,
Yep. Thank you so
Hi,
much.
hi, hi, Anil. Welcome to
hey,
TechDive.
hey everyone.
Perfect. And as we were talking, Anil would be jumping into the investment thesis in Deeptech 2030. That is literally the incoming trends. So take out your notebooks, take out your pens, take out your questions. And if you want, put the questions as the speakers are on the chat. We'll make sure that all your questions are answered as we go ahead. And then none other than Tom, strategic funding for cost optimization in defense startups. So, three brilliant topics supported by two brilliant leaders of IROF, Johns and KP. We have a great session ahead. So, let's jump into our first topic, first speaker. I would like to take the privilege of inviting Commander Navneet Kaushik as the first speaker. But before I start, on introducing himself, in introducing him, I would like to quickly call Johns and just for a couple of minutes to talk about the topic that is open for Commander Navneet, because funding pathways for India's next generation defense tech would be something you would have got a different perspective as a founder yourself who's been out there, who's got multiple rounds of funding for his own company, who's had multiple rounds of conversations in that sector. So, Johns, I would love to hear your thoughts on this topic before I introduce Commander Navneet.
Yeah, thanks, Salma. So, defense tech funding in recent times has been, I think, defense has now become a sunrise sector, predominantly with the recent geopolitical situations happening in our neighborhood as well as in the western region. So it has been a high priority for the government to build indigenous tech. We were looking at buying products, importing systems, and now the government has totally taken a strong stand that we need to build products from India. And now government have now started giving orders through some of these big programs like IDEX, TDF and all. We have started Startups have been getting orders. Now it's the right time, because always VCs or investors had the hard time investing in defense because there is no certainty on orders and assurances. Now with the orders coming in, that is, I think, is good to go away. I think there is going to be a lot of demand for investments in defense, and like to pass over to Commander Kaushik to speak on this section.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Johns. As always, your perspective brings about a lot of light on what we are going to talk about. I request all of you to listen well and listen carefully. Commander Navneet Kaushik's introduction it goes very deep, it goes very extensive, it definitely brings a wealth of knowledge. So when he's speaking, knowing about his journey would mean so much more for you guys to understand where he's coming from. So it's my privilege and honor to introduce Commander Navneet Kaushik, founder of Jamwant Venture Angel Fund, is a seasonal technology commercializing and defense innovation expert with over 26 years of distinguished service in the Indian Navy. He brings extensive experience in quality, project, technology, and acquisition management, combined with a strong track record of working across governments, industries, and international partners. He has led and aligned cross functional teams in complex, resource constrained environments, guided Indian startups as an ecosystem expert in the Indian Innovation Growth Program in Boston, and participated in global field trials of advanced defense systems across Ecuador, Denmark, Spain, Germany, and more. Commander Navneet has coordinated international work contracts, trained trainees from Mauritius, Maldives, and Sri Lanka, and represented India during goodwill visits across Asia, Middle East, and Africa, strengthening diplomatic and industry ties. A strong communicator and skilled leader, He is widely respected for his ability to analyze challenge quickly, build consensus, and drive execution in mission critical settings. Sir, a pure privilege to be giving the stage to you and let you speak. Thank you so very much once again for being here.
Thank you, Salma. Thank you for having me here. And being the Navy Day, so whatever you've read out for me is all about the Navy, right? It's not something which I did. It's I was just lucky enough to be there, right? I'm an ex-NDA, and then I joined Navy. And after that, whatever has happened, whatever experience you have spoken about, it's all through the Navy. Other than like after my post-retirement, I joined Ministry of Science and Technology. So I was there with Technology Development Board, analyzing, assessing companies for commercialization. But a lot of it has to go back to the Navy, from where I was lucky to have that kind of an exposure, and I was able to see where we were lacking. Right. So one part was how to look at the companies, what are the founders missing out. Second part was what the investors are looking at, right? And why, as a nation, when we talk about, a lot of time it happens that we have not come up with a breakthrough tech. And now is the time that there are certain techs we may not be able to talk about, but then definitely we are doing some things which are much better than before. What has changed, right? If you see, most of the till 22, 23, there was hardly anybody who was there in the deep tech space. Most of the investments from the VC ecosystem was actually going into more of a consumer tech and SaaS platforms, right? And no, nothing against them, but they have given us the start which was required. They had given us the aspiration that there's a money to be made in the sector, right? Now, once the money was made in this, then people started focusing on something else, because you can't keep optimizing supply chains. Beyond a certain level, the optimization stops, right? And if you look back in the history, you see all the great techs, all the enabling techs, most of them have come out from defense. You can talk about satellites, right? You can talk about weather prediction. You can talk about digital imaging. You can talk about GPS. You can talk about internet. You can talk about spray drying. Means there's a plethora of technologies which have evolved out of it, and there's a rationale for it. The reason that we have not, what you can say, have gone so deep in deep tech, other than the government part of it, because for a long time, we were told that it's either development or defense. So
Yep.
this was something which had to be broken, which had to be, people had to realize that it is actually development through defense. It is not or. You have to invest in deep tech, which is actually a defense tech, because defense tech is the only place which can give you a good, what you can say, profits on a small edge over your adversary, right? And defense is also the place where there's an innovation which is required, because it's a necessity. Survival is a necessity. You're preparing for battle, right? I'm not saying you got to have a battle, but I'm saying you got to prepare for it. So when you prepare for it, you got to have the cutting edge tech. So that means you can do the maximum amount of experimentation and hardening of the tech in the defense domain, right? That is where people are willing to take risk, and that's what we are actually risk takers. Otherwise, we won't be in the forces, right? So once the tech gets hardened there, then it can actually come down to the civil side for scale, where actually it becomes an enabling tech for everything else. Like if you think of it today, without internet or GPS, can we imagine our lives? And everything started from defense.
Yeah.
So now, so as a Jamwant Ventures, we started in 23, which was before Operation Sindoor happened. And even at that point of time, there were hardly anybody in defense tech. Like I have met Johns at that point of time. We were still setting up, right? And I could see, because I was part of the defense acquisition. I told him, "Ki, what you're building is what we were procuring from the foreign shows for probably 10 times the cost." Because when Indians come into play, everything becomes optimized, right? Especially for the for the nation. And that tech, like you can use the same tech which is available, what IROV is building in the defense sector, and it has a huge application in the civil sector.
Correct.
So it is how you look at a tech. So for far too long, we have been told there's something called a harmful tech. Tech by itself is not harmful. It was taught to me in school, and I still believe it. It is how you use it. There can be various different reasons for which the defense tech was not being funded, but rest of it was an excuse. Defense is the OG where you actually do the innovation, right? After agriculture, I believe defense is the most important part. Rest everything is semantics as far as I look at it, right? There's a lot of interest which has come up after Operation Sindoor, because suddenly people in India also realized that your defense has to be on your own hands. Your supply chains, your tech has to be owned by you, because at a critical moment it can be denied to you. So with that, I think, and I won't say that 10 years back, MOD started with this program called IDEX, right? They had the foresight, but everything takes time. Now it has come. Now we are at an inflection point where defense tech is actually going to, it's a sunrise sector, yes, but it's going to beat most of the sectors hollow when it comes to it, because no defense tech is purely defense. It has got applications across the board.
Absolutely. So, uh, Commander, I just have to tell you this. I so believe in what you just said, because history is a testimony that all innovations have come out of wars. Every time there have been wars fought, countries have come up with innovations. So I can tell you this, and I keep telling this to all the entrepreneurs, right? Why are we losing the technology out of the innovation, right? And what you just said is so true. It's the Navy, it's the defense, that's where we sit with. So thank you so much for
And
that.
actually, I'm not saying there should be wars. I'm saying the best way to avoid wars is to be prepared for one.
Exactly.
And today, there are various programs where the funding is available for the startups. There are
Absolutely.
people who are more aligned to it. You can go to IDEX, you can go to DST. There's new R&D, RDI fund has come in, and
Correct.
there a lot of angel investors today are actually looking for defense tech. Even the bigger funds have started talking about defense today,
Absolutely.
right? So funding wise, I think there's no better time to be in this sector than today, right?
Absolutely.
So I don't think there's a problem too much about where will you get funds and all. The government is there. The biggest problem which I always saw was in defense was that the entrepreneurs, the founders did not know actually what is the requirement. Now
Correct.
with MOD opening up their doors through IDEX, I think you have the officers, men who are coming directly and telling you what are the requirements. So there couldn't have been a better time to, validate your thoughts and validate your products from the forces.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before we open for questions, Commander Navneet, one question from me. This Jamwant Ventures Angel Fund, could you talk a little bit about it? Of what kind of ventures do you look at? What stage? Are a little bit about it would help the audience understand a little bit more about it.
Okay. So Jamwan Ventures, we started with a focus on only defense tech. So we only do any tech which has got a defense application. So basically, I call it a dual tech,
Okay.
right? We are setting up a next fund. Angel Fund is more or less done on that. Now we are setting up a much larger fund only for dual tech again. Our investments, our first thesis is that it has to have a defense use case.
Good.
So if anything is required in defense, we are there to help out. And it's not only about the money for us, because we also believe in hand holding the founder, getting him the right connect, right network, so that his product is validated. He knows what he's doing. And again, another thing which I believe that Fauji's are most underrated commodity in India, because a lot of us have experience which is very different. The civil world at times in India at least doesn't know, what forces give us, and we also don't know what civil world requires out of us. So it make connecting the bridge becomes a very important part. Like there are
Absolutely.
a lot of people who have a deep tech experience who have been operators, right? They have been in the field, the experience of the field, the understanding of the tech, very minute, because when you go to sea or when you're in a battle, there's no one who's going to come and help you, right? You have to know it in you. You have to repair your own equipment, and you can only repair when you understand it to the nuts and bolts of it. So at Jamwan Ventures, we try to help the founders, one with the funds, second with the advice, mentorship, and also with the relevant manpower if it is required, someone who can advise them, someone who can give them insights. So we also try to give them those, that kind of a connect who can help them to grow.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And before I open for one question, because we have other brilliant two speakers waiting, welcome, KP. As always, Tech Dive doesn't feel complete for me without you. I know you're traveling, but you're here with us. Thank you so very much. I give
Thank
you
you,
the
thank you.
privilege of
Yeah,
asking one question to Commander Navneet before we move on to the next speaker. But welcome to Tech Dive 5.
thank you all. Sorry, I'm held up somewhere here and the networks are quite bad. So yeah, somehow I jumped in and I have been always like this on off, okay, but trying to always make it sometime into the event. Yes, yes. Thank you, Salma, for that introduction also. Yes, and thank you, Commander Sir, Navneet Kaur Sir, for those words related to the investments and how the ecosystem is moving towards, I would say, the interest towards deep tech and defense tech. So that's been quite interesting. So I think Salma, I would take this discussion forward in sometime forward, so you can continue with the other questions so that I
Yeah.
will
So
start
I
with the
so
questions.
I'll ask a question. So what do you look at, Commander Kaushik, in defense startups when you look at investments? Is it the market cap, the TAM, total addressable market, or is it the team, or your insights in the industry, in the defense? What do you look at it?
So actually, to be honest, I look at the tech like anybody else does, right? What you said, it's a mix of all of them. One, like every other startup, when you look at it, you look at the founder first, founder and the team, right? How good the founder is, what is his knowledge levels, how resilient is he? Because see, it's entrepreneurship is not an easy journey. You will have ups, you will have downs. Someday you will be on the top of the world, and the next day you will be just at the bottom, at the bottomless pit, right? Because there are things which are going to be working out for you, there are things which are not going to work out for you. How do you handle that situation? And that's not easy to do it, but that's the first part. And we spend some time with the founders before we actually start investing it. Second part is the problem which you're trying to solve, right? Is it actually a problem, or is it just that you found something and you're trying to fit it into defense or something? Third is the vision. What is the vision which the founder has? And does it align with us? Right? Either the founder has a vision, because see, we are investing in companies which we believe are going to become, leaders in the Indian ecosystem. It's not only a one product company. It is, we look at it as a tech. What is your core, what you can say, technology which you're working on? Because if you have a certain core technology, you can keep changing the product depending on the need of the market. So TAM also becomes a very important part, because at the end of the day, we are raising money from the market, and we have to do justice to the investments which are made to us. So whatever we work on is with the aim that we will, one, create value, second, we create money for the investors and the founders as well. So whatever we can understand, we help them out with. And insights become very important part, because a lot of time what happens is tech is available in the civil side, they do not know that there's a requirement of the in the defense side also, and vice versa. Defense also at times doesn't know that this tech is already available in India. So we also do that part. And since we come from the field, we have been operators. Rather, my whole advisory team, my co-founders, right, Commander Karthik Gopal, Dr. Jyotsna Dalal, Admiral Vishwanathan, Admiral A.B. Singh, Commodore Gulaya, right? All of us have been the operators, and we have worked on the field. So we understand the nuances. So we are able to, see whether the product which is being told that they're making, is it actually a cutting edge or it's already existing. We are not only looking at a tech which is going to be only substituting what we already have. We are looking at a tech which is going to be competing in the world market, right? both in terms of technology and cost.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Johns. And now let's move on to our next speaker. And before I say the topic and call the next speaker, I have a very funny quote. Dulha dulhan razi to kya karega khazi, right? It's the investor speaking and want to know the funded founder's opinion after that. So as I invite and introduce Anil Joshi, I would also ask Johns to, after the talk, give your thoughts and opinion on the conversation which Anil will be having. So I bring both the parties on the table here, the investor and the funded founder. But before that, the next topic is this: the investment thesis for Deep Tech 2030. What VCs are betting on in India's defense tech and frontier tech wave. Now, let me take this the opportunity to introduce Anil Joshi. Anil Joshi is the founder and managing partner at Unicorn India Ventures and one of India's pioneering leaders in angel and venture investing. With experience across Mumbai Angels and Bangalore Angels, he has been instrumental in shaping India's early stage investment ecosystem. Anil has facilitated 100 plus venture financing deals, serving on the boards of multiple startups and actively for mentor founders across leading incubations in India and abroad. His background spans telecom, IT, energy, biomedical, and international business consulting. An engineering graduate with advanced management qualifications, Anil also serves on the IVCA's prestigious VC Council 2022 to 2024, contributing to national policy discussions on innovations and capital formations. And I have to say, in a few years back, when I was extensively working in the startup scene, I've heard Anil speak in some of the events. And trust me, he has a takeaway for every single individual sitting in those thousands of audiences. He says only but hard hitting truth. And it's a privilege once again, after all these years, to hear you speak, Anil. Over to you.
Hey, thanks, Alma. I'm only worried you're raising bar. I don't know why.
That's my job, and I know I'm not doing it just like that. You're going to definitely go over and above.
So thanks, Alma. Let me set some context. Today everyone is talking about deep tech, and incidentally, just couple of weeks back, as far as common man is concerned, India have announced a deep tech fund of fund RDI, and it's a large corpus, almost a 1 lakh crore over a period of 5 6 years, which is something really unheard earlier. So everyone is talking about deep tech, but let me set some context, right? Like India, I believe, still is an nascent in terms of venture investment. It's just 1.5 decade old, and I had a privilege of being in this industry when it was non-existent. So at least I've seen almost baby coming out of home and then where it is today. And if you look at any industry, it starts small, especially VC industry. You would always start with general investment. So you look at the last 1 decade, we saw bunch of e-commerce or consumer internet, right? That's where the entire decade actually have shown, be it Ola or be it Make My Trip or be it Flipkart or be it any single or Oyo, right? We're all revolving around consumer internet. And then we slowly started drifting away towards SaaS, right? India actually gave some of the beautiful SaaS company. But as industry matures, you start seeing the vertical getting established. So we have now Agri Fund, we now have something on education, we have something on AI. And recently, while I have several examples of us having invested in deep tech since fund one, but we also took 10 years to highlight that we are a deep tech fund. right? Because nobody was willing to appreciate one, what is a deep tech is one big question. I think all six of us can keep debate whole of this evening and still will not conclude, right? But anyway, it has become a buzzword. Like a time was there, everybody was talking about AI, still talking about AI, and then SaaS and this and that, right? So deep tech is now just getting started, and it is there to stay. I would like to just pick up, one very interesting, phrase or a part of conversation, from Commander Navneet's, talk, where he specifically stated that, India comes out with a frugal, innovative solution, right? The interesting part is that, we built for India, but is for world. And incidentally, we haven't come to a stage where we say this is a breakthrough from India. However, India has been instrumental in coming out with solutions which are breakthrough for problems, right? Let's take example of IRO, what they're doing, right? They can comfortably count themselves, maybe among handful of companies of this type in world. We have one very classic example again, based out of Trivandrum, Gen Robotic, right? When they started, everyone had written them off, right? Who works on, manholes? Who works on, but it's a, one of the true deep tech company. I'm sure John as an engineer would, and even Kannappa would appreciate that. It's one of the very complex, product which, you know, uh, simulates mechanical, electrical, electronic, power electronic, and then computer vision, and then you add, a lot of other automation. It's very complex, though it sounds, very, simple, but imagine when you don't have a visibility of a 1 meter and they have to clean it with instrument, and that also without human intervention, right? So India actually have now started, showing the result on deep tech. People have started seeing that, investment, can lead to, uh, sorry, uh, so investment, can lead to, return and handsome return, right? Because deep tech, one biggest advantage deep tech has that these are all IP led. IP have a lot of value. In fact, we had invested in one company which is again Cochin based in Tot, which was converting, analog radio to digital. Now you would ask, what's special about it? World has done this. Our cable have moved from 2 channel to 8 channel. Today we have thousands of channel because of digitization, right? But what made them special was that without adding any hardware, they were enabled to convert analog to digital signal, and is the only company in world which is capable of serving all four continent with different technology. So India is, very interesting. We have, very bright talent, and we are solving, a problem and the solution which is frugal, dependable, scalable, and of course low cost, because the nature today we are at, of course, I don't know how long we'll stay low cost, but as of now, we have a, low cost. So it is, very much visible with so much of, policies around drone. I remember, the first drone company which went IPO actually struggled 10 years because there were no policies. How do you fly drone even if you have best of technology? And government also realized that, they need to open up certain things which, have a very large dependence on, import market. And especially after, self-reliant, make in India, Bharat and all, right? I think it has become very clear that, India is serious about, business, and that's why, a lot of sectors had been opened recently. Semiconductor is one. Defense, of course, need not to say, sheer volume is humongous, right? One single order can make company, at a, very different level. And then, we have space. I'll not be surprised in 2 or maybe max 5 years time, India will make its mark as one of the prominent contributor to space, right? with so much of opportunity, with so much of investors coming in, with so much of funding available, I don't see any reason deep tech not getting prominence. And with that view, even we also cautiously announce that our fund 3, which is 150 ml, is focusing on deep tech. In fact, our 65 to 70% of investment is in deep tech, and it's fairly diversified in whether it is semiconductor, whether it is, in fact, we are one of the successful investor in one of the successful semiconductor company in India. Space, we have 3 investments. Defense, we have 2 investments. We have also invested in Meditech, which also largely a defense, deep tech. We also have investment in agri-tech, right? I'm very excited, and I see a very promising, future for Indian startup in this space. So with this, I'll give a pause. Thank you.
You, Johns.
Thanks, Anil, for Anil has been one of our, not one of ours, but couple of lot many companies in Kerala supported by him. I think he has been also a great supporter in the industry in deep tech. So one of the questions I would like to ask is regarding deep tech startups. How can they achieve scale? Probably going from few crores to maybe 50, 100 or even beyond. And that scale, how can startups, deep tech startup especially, achieve scales? What has been your experience with these companies? How has been they been achieved to achieve scale? Do you have any suggestions to startups who are scaling?
Uh, I'll not get into the definition of deep tech, but I would certainly add, which I already said, that deep tech is largely driven by IP, right? And I don't know if you guys remember, Commander Navneet, very beautifully stated that most of the innovation around defense led to a lot of, commercial applications. And we all know, I need not have to give the examples, right? As long as, IP is serving a purpose, I think finding a solution around different application is not difficult. For example, take IRO, right? You started basically, what I remember initially when I met you, that, I think we all used to say that it's an underwater drone, right? Whereas, we talk about underwater drone, which is largely about capturing images, but then it is much beyond that, right? Your product is not simple. You not only use, high-end cameras, but then you also use, various frequency to detect. You also use imaging, right? To find, you have sonar, right? So one, product is now using different application for different use cases, right? So I think we need to understand, and I would, strongly urge that building a product is one which an engineer loves to do and keep doing it, but it's very important to add a, layer of business to it. I don't think whether me or you or anybody on this forum can give a, magic sauce for that, but if you build a product, you as an entrepreneur need to find out, what this technology can serve the purpose for. Again, I'll not hesitate, and he's a very good friend of you, John's, Vimal, we all know their background, that they basically all started with an exoskeleton, right? Nothing to do with, what Gen Robotic is, but the, sheer genesis was about their ability to build something which was helping lifting, 10 times of the weight by a normal human. And they started with a, bandicoot, which is in a, manhole scavenger automating. But ultimately, they landed up building one of the very beautiful product, and is serving a mankind, which is about, helping people on rehabilitating on mobility issue. Right? Today, if you look at anybody on this forum would have gone for physiotherapy, I'm sure they would need at least one assistant, if not two, if not, if anything is to be done with, mobility, right? You cannot walk, so you need help to rehabilitate, and they build a wonderful product around exoskeleton and have successfully deployed those technology, for Meditech, right? So I don't think building a product on deep tech side is an issue. I think it's very important for you to identify a market where the technology can find its use case. And if that is the case, in fact, John's, I know we had been talking since Fund 1 you started and we finally invested in Fund 3. I think during this journey of 5, 6 years since we met first time, you found your, play area, and that's what, gave us confidence because, as an investor, I don't want to see a toy, roaming in water, with, few remote buttons. But the moment you found, a use case, the picture become very clear where you can go. Right.
Absolutely.
Today, I think you have, to your credit, having surveyed the, longest trenches for power, cables underwater, deep sea water, right? It's not easy task, right? So I think deep tech offers a lot of opportunity. Sky is the limit, or, the depth of ocean is the limit, I can say. Building technology, I think today is no more an issue because you have talent available. And the only thing is that, mixing or putting a layer of business is very important to look at a scale. And if you are actually building something and if you don't see business use case, I would, strongly suggest that stop and look for something else.
Perfect. So before we jump into the next and the most interesting topic, I would like to ask one question to Anil. Anil, if you could just in bullet point tell us top two reasons when you reject a deep tech or a startup for funding. Most often, what are the top two reasons? And candid, sir, because in the end, Tech Dive is all about ground level reality, candid answers.
So, I'll give you two, very simple answer. Investors are of two type. One who can stay longer when he doesn't have an stress of liquidating, their investments. And then we people like us who run a venture fund certainly have a life to live with, right? So if my fund is 7, 8 years, I need to, look at an opportunity which I can liquidate in that time period. And let me remind you that building IP is not child's play. It takes years, right? I just said that I met John 6 years back. It took us 6 years to, I didn't reject it, but I knew that gestation is so long. Imagine if I would have invested from fund 1, I wouldn't have seen much traction. But now if I'm investing from fund 3, at least I have a visibility of some traction in life of the fund. So I don't think ventures get rejected because they don't have a promise. But if there is a promise, then we also need to look at the thesis, our life cycle and ability of company to scale within that time period. But honestly speaking, I'm nobody to reject any deep tech because these are all genius people. They built some of the very interesting product, and we are lucky to be part of this journey where we are actually witnessing this kind of innovative ideas. So as far as deep tech is concerned, it's more to do with our ability to see the traction in life of our fund. And honestly, now we have started seeing deep tech companies. Earlier there were no deep tech.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I never had an opportunity to reject anything, but now I think I will have some privilege to reject also.
I know, but that's a good one. Thank you so much with that. And let's move on. Thank you so much, Anil. And please be around. It would be great to have you as the conversation goes. We've come to the last speaker, but there was a reason why I did not introduce the leadership team of IROV before taking the last topic, right? Because of two reasons. I'm a very selfish person when it comes to that. I wanted everyone's attention before I talk about IROV and the leadership team. So now that I have the attention, thanks to two brilliant speakers capturing all the attention, I'm going to kind of bank on it and tell you why IROV and why this leadership team and why this topic. Most important, yes, they are the poster boys, college friends came up with this brilliant idea, the best universities. Oh, you go on our website, you'll get all those details. But that's me who will be talking about who they are in real. As entrepreneurs, as leaders, I have seen both of them build a team from scratch, starting off from both of them. I have seen them stand by each other. I have seen them stand against each other. And I've also seen them push and nudge and encourage each other. But today, as they lead a team of 60 to 65 team members, all driven with innovation, value, and pure craziness to bring impact in the industry they are in. IROF Technologies, for me personally, and when I say for me, if you literally Google Salma Musa, you'll know 40,000 hours of mentoring. So I've literally seen the dark side and the bright side of ecosystems, right? I believe in these two boys. I believe in what they have built and they are building. And I believe when I say that in dev technology, deep tech, in marine robotics, they are just on the tip of the iceberg. What's coming out of IROF is so much more exciting. The kind of R&D they have led by KP, the kind of dynamic leadership team that we have led by Johns. I know there's so much more coming. So all you have to do is follow the space of TechDive, follow them on LinkedIn. Yeah, I know they're not very active, but follow them. You will see the magic unfold. So now coming, and before that, Tom, thank you so much. You've been patient, you've been waited, you joined one in for the first, but you've been patient enough and you've here. But we keep the last for the best, right? The best is for the last, right? So, hence, your topic is very interesting because it's strategic funding and cost optimization for defense startups. And that's very exciting. And when you are done with your talk, I would request both the leadership team of IROB and even Anil, if he's around, if he has the time, to definitely add a few thought bites after Tom's, covering on the topic. But let me take this opportunity to introduce Tom Thomas, Chief Operating Officer at Kerala Startup Mission. I'm just going to take a minute. Kerala Startup Mission is one of the most active startup initiative in the Indian nation. I'm telling you this because I'm literally a dinosaur in the startup ecosystem. I've seen the hows and the whys and the whos. I come from the Silicon Valley, so called, from India, like Bangalore. But I still have been a big follower of Kerala Startup Mission. They have put the money where their words are. They have put their actions in supporting young startups. They have played a key role in enabling the ecosystem. So thank you so much, Tom, for having that. I had to add that one line of my personal experience with Kerala Startup Mission. So, coming to that, is an accomplished leader and an IIMK alumnus with deep expertise in strategy, policy design, and ecosystem development. He has worked extensively with national and international public and private sector organizations, shaping impactful innovation programs and startup initiatives. Tom has held several leadership roles, including Director of Policy and Research in IDIF, COO at IITH Foundation, Project Director Operations at KSUM, and AVP at Startup Academy at Startup Village. His experience spans incubation management, energy innovation programs, technology operations, and early stage startup support. With a career that has touched software engineering, program management, and major sports media assignments, Tom brings a uniquely broad perspective to building and scaling India's innovation ecosystem. So today, you all know why I kept Tom waiting for the last talk, because the last is what you should not be missing. So thank you so much for being here, Tom. The floor is all yours, and I'm full yours for your talk.
Thank you, Salma, for the kind introduction. And congratulations on your new book. I hear it is coming out in 2 days' time. Looking forward to getting a copy and reading it.
Handwritten and courier to you.
Perfect. Thank you. Like Salma said, Startup Mission has been very actively trying to build this ecosystem in the state. And for doing that, we have to wear multiple hats. When it comes to deep tech investments, there are venture funds that invest into startups like IRO. So we, in fact, play a role on either side. So we think a bit like the investor, we think a bit like the startup. So we act as a limited partner and invest into some of these VC funds that in turn invest into startups. So we have invested in Anil's 3 funds so far. And Anil has been very kind and very, I mean, I think when we started our fund of fund, Anil was the first one to jump in and say, hey, I see potential in the state. Let me come on board. And I think the rest of the VC funds that followed, they took courage and they saw Anil's example. And that's how we have, I think, close to 16 VCs that we work with now. And I think a lot of credit goes to Anil in terms of helping us build this investment capital in Kerala. Working as a government arm, so we look at 2 things. I mean, how do we make capital available, and how do we really multiply the capital available? This is where we put on the investor's hat. And on the other side, how do we really help startups survive longer with the funds that they generate? How do we really keep the costs lower? How do we help them prototype faster but keep their cost and have a longer runway? So we wear both these hats. So wearing the first hat, we launched this fund of fund program where we pick a few VC firms and then we invest into them. These VC firms commit to us that if we give them, let's say, 20 crore, the startup in the state gets 40 crore. We're essentially multiplying the investment that we make available to the startups in the state. Anil came in. He took very early bets on some very interesting startups. He spoke about Gentra Robotics. He spoke about Intot. iRob is another bet that he has taken. And if you really look at the investments that a lot of these VC firms have done, they have been able to identify very strong deep tech startups from the state. Apart from iRob, Gentra Robotics, and Intot, we have Kavli Wireless, we have Oxense, which is doing a bit on quantum computing. We have Netra Semi. So all of them are doing very unique. I mean, all these 6 companies are doing very unique products where there are just a handful of companies around the world doing the same thing. So this really shows the ability of Kerala founders. A lot of them would be friends of Jones and Kannappa in identifying very key problem statements and building a very, very strong engineered solution for that problem. Now, building an engineered problem takes a very long time. It's not a e-commerce website. It's not a Q-commerce website. It's not something that you can just put together in a day and start operations the next day. There's a lot of research that goes into it. There's a lot of customer building that goes into it. And while startups might underestimate the capital required, a lot of times investors also underestimate the gestation period required for such companies to grow. And which is why Anil said Anil met John 6 years earlier. And then it took time to build it takes time to build good products. And now Anil has invested in this company, and we are also investing into Anil's third fund. The only regret we have is that we are not able to invest more into his fund because he has been constantly picking good companies, winners from Kerala. And I think a lot of investors also co-invest with Anil into these companies, and it's been going great. On the second side, where when we think like a startup, when we think for a startup, it's about you raise funds. Now, how can we help you get a longer runway with these funds? So we have been creating infrastructure that helps companies keep their cost lower. There is co-working space which is made available at a subsidized rate. But more than that, when it comes to deep tech companies, you need very specific manufacturing capabilities to build your product and build your prototypes. Gentra Robotics, their first prototype was completely made from the earlier version of Fab Lab that we had. Everything made in wood, put together and demonstrated to the water authority. and that is how their first sales or first contract happens. So you need these lab facilities where these deep tech companies can come and really build their product. Taking inspiration from the Gen Robotics story, the state invested another 20 crore in building this facility here in Cochin, and Maker Village has invested another 15 crores. So it's equipment for deep tech startups worth 35 crore has been made available in the single facility alone. Now, what that helps is you need to work on metal, you need to work on plastics, you need to work on a lot of other material, maybe carbon fiber. You don't need to really go on a machine or run around finding vendors and thankfully we've been able to stop a lot of founders from shifting to Coimbatore or Gujarat in search of these facilities. So we bring these facilities here so that all these startups can make use of these facilities and keep their cost lower and get their products built faster. Last year alone, 400 startups or MSMEs made use of these facilities to build either their full product or parts of their product. So these are two things that we do primarily in terms of making capital available and helping startups use their capital more wisely. We also give funds to grants and loans to companies. And for deep tech companies, specifically, we have a R&D fund, which is 30 lakhs of grant, which is given to products that have a very long gestation period, which has a business use case, but still needs maybe years of research to get there. And this is not really a fund that will help companies market and build their product. But we believe that this funds really helps the founder sustain, because it is also important for the founder to take care of his basic needs to be able to spend that amount of time on the product. These are some of the support systems that we make available. And I've also been fortunate to see the journey of Jones and Kanappa, their early stages, their early projects. I mean, one of the early projects where they worked with the Navy to identify a lot of ships that had sunk years ago. I think that I was really fascinated by the work that they did, and that the fact that Navy has been searching for these ships for decades, and they came in and was able to find all of them in a very short span of time. I don't think they made a lot of money out of it, but I think it was fantastic work. So I've also seen them go through their hardships, go through confusion, go through good times. So I've been really fortunate to have witnessed their growth and continue to witness their growth. Right now, even though they started as a very early stage founder in this ecosystem, now a lot of founders look up to them for inspiration as well as for their mentorship. And I just wish them all the best, and also request them to maybe find some time to help some of our early stage startups as well.
Absolutely. And before I open to them, Tom, I have to tell a success story of your baby startup, IROF, because recently a friend of mine, their daughter was researching in USA to do an internship in deep tech company. And they Googled and she called up and said that IROF came in as the top 7 companies in USA for deep technology and, defense startups. So for me, I think for you, it would be like this super, thing for seeing them from that early stage. So thank you so much for that. Anything that both of you would like to add? There are a couple of questions for Anil and Tom, but before that, I would open the floor to Johns and KP.
Yeah, I think KSM has been a great supporter for us starting from Saji sir to multiple Anup also now. I think KSM has been a great supporter of startup, and as you rightly said, one of the pioneering in the ecosystem actually. I think Tom covered most of the things. I don't have any questions to ask. Really wanted to ask what are the support schemes, but then he already covered it.
I have a question for you, Johns.
Yeah.
Tell the top 2 things that came really useful from KSUM for you at those early stages, like those very early stages.
Yeah, I think for KSUM, what I really think of the support given was back in 2017-18, we were not having even any funds. They gave us the initial 5 lakhs check. Sajid sir handed over the order, and then after that, we got another 12 lakhs again through another grant. I think without these funds, we would have struggled, and then I would have worked somewhere else. So I think these are very, very critical. We have got big amount of funding now, but those 5, 10, 12 lakhs played a very critical role at that time actually. And we also going forward, once we see a kind of a good amount of returns, we would also like to contribute back that to the ecosystem. I think they are doing a lot of things selfless because they are not taking any equity, unlike many of the incubators, but supporting us. And we would like, once we become successful, we would like to give back those kind of support back to the ecosystem also.
I can now actually already vision an IRA of startup deep tech fund. And I still want to be a mentor in that fund. Please take the dibs on that. Yeah.
Sure.
Perfect. KP, you have something to add?
Yes, yeah. So I think Johns and Tom, I think you have covered most of the points. But yes, as the point Salma asked, so what is one of the things that comes up when you think of KSU? So one thing which I think Tom had mostly mentioned, but I want to clearly say is that one of the very very complex geometrical one. I would say a top cover like thing is there in our vehicle. Aero Tuna, you might have seen it. It's like orange, very very iconic shaped one. But it is quite very very complex in its geometry. During our initial times, the mold making was so costly that we didn't go that way itself. So I still remember like I was the one who was like in the old Fab Lab, like I just spent like 3 4 nights altogether continuously milling on those routers to get that exact 3D. So that is one thing. FabLab has been very phenomenal in the early stages to build something very complex stuff like that. They had a very good team then also, now also. We extensively use that for prototyping, early stage prototyping. So from that point of view, very helpful. We could get a lot of access to machines, plenty of, I would think that, like water jet cutting was there. We use laser cutting a lot, and then we use the routers extensively. So these kind of all, and I would say quite expensive machines, and also multi-axis milling machines are also there. We extensively utilize them over a period of time in the initial prototyping because it saves a lot of time, and particularly early stage, finding one vendor and very truly one piece, two piece, nobody outside shops will not even entertain you. This has been the real gap or the bottleneck which we were often getting supported and helped by KSU. A lot of facilities were there, so we utilize extensively that. I think one more thing, after a period of time, we have actually extensively, put our team also all in the various KSM facilities. So that is also one thing. KSM offers a lot of, I would say, subsidized spaces and seats extensively. Now also, I'm behind town for various ways. So as we grow, but definitely speaking, those are some of the very initial but important things, because you get those flexible space. Sometimes you might need more seating and something like that, so they will help you out with that. But now I think Tom is flooded with requests, so I still bug him. So those kind of things were quite very critical, because you were light on capex, because you don't want to go around for from electricity to lighting to water to all those facilities are all covered, so you just forget and just work on the work. So that kind of initial things were quite very helpful. And one more point, we definitely had a lot of opportunities to go for various pitching sessions, events. I think the connection to Anil and those introductions have happened over multiple such events. I think various hurdle and other various events, we have been presented in many many forums. So that has been a very good connecting point for us also as a company. And to be frankly speaking, one of our first I would say a US trip, again through one of the events, which was again a part of KSUM plus the I think the
I think a
US
lot of
MS.
exposure is
Yes,
what they
yes,
bring,
very
and
true,
that's so true.
very true. Yeah,
Yeah.
very true.
Thank you. And
Yes.
Tom, I
So
think
thank you. Yeah.
90% of young entrepreneurs, startups die, especially in a sector like this, because of lack of these supports which you bring. Thank you so much. There is a question, couple of questions for you, Tom. But before that, I'm going to quickly. We are already four. I would take 5 more minutes for just Q&A. Anil, there is a question for you online from Zulfikar. In the current Indian deep tech landscape, you are seeing a shift in how investors value government contracts, order books versus annual recurring revenue. For a company like IROV with high value, lumpy government contracts, what is the new metric for a Series A, B valuation? That's a finance man speaking. Over to you, Anil. This question is for you.
See, most of the cases, business to government, space is avoided. But one thing we need to appreciate that in case of, deep tech, government would be a big, consumer. And the government, any world, have a potential to actually, give large orders. They are the one who can actually and have a capability of, mass implementation of some of this, kind of products, right? Because these are not cheap, these are all expensive technology. So government will definitely play an important role. As far as valuation is concerned, I think we are at very early stage. I don't think I'll be able to, satisfy answer on this, but I think we can always refer to what has happened in Western world and give some discount to, India and then, value it accordingly. Only thing I can tell at this stage. And I need to drop off, Selma,
Yes.
because I scheduled to take another master class and I'm already 3 minutes late. So thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Mhm.
thanks,
Enjoy
Thank
Anil.
you
talking
for
Thanks,
to you.
Anil.
being here.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. And please coming back, keep coming back. Tech Dive is your home here.
Hi, it's my second home. Only thing I'm, looking to find where is my address for second home, but yeah, second home.
Very soon you're here. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
being here.
Yeah, bye.
I'd
Thank you,
like to
Anil.
invite VR, Venkat. Where are you? Just because next tech dive you're going to take the floor doesn't mean you don't
Right.
show up. Yeah, you have a question for Tom.
Yeah, I do have.
I want you to please go ahead and ask the question.
Sure. I mean, I hear a lot of, failure stories as well, right? Now, at what point, right, or in from your perspective, what separates startup that actually secure defense, say, deployment or defense contracts from those that still remain stuck at the, the grant or the pilot stage? Like some of those will still be at the, being a research bet, and when it is going to become a investable business for you. So how do you separate them?
Yeah. So, I mean, we primarily evaluate early stage companies. And when we evaluate early stage companies, there are two factors that we look at. One is three factors. One is the innovation, which I think when we speak about startups, all of them will have some of the other innovation. And the second part is, do you have a really good engineering team to actually build it? You can really think about very crazy ideas, which a lot of people might want. But is that something that your team is capable to build? And is that something you as a founder is able to lead? So this is a very important question. So a lot of the ideas that we get, we reject it if they don't have a team to do it. We ask them to go find a co-founder, tech co-founder, or hire people and then come back. So the second side is, failing at an idea stage is probably better than failing later, because you at least saved your
Agreed.
time and money. So second failure is a slightly more difficult failure to internalize, which is you have a good tech team, but you don't know how to sell your product. You also need to understand what the customer wants. You need to understand how to present it to a customer. You need to understand at what price point, for what USPs they will purchase it. So these are things that you need to answer. So it's about the the engineering side of your team plus your ability to understand the market and build for the market. It's a combination of these two that we really see in good successful companies. I don't think you can survive without one of them.
Right.
Even for non-innovative product, you can still sell it and make money, but you still need a team that can build you and a team that can sell.
All right. Fair enough. Thanks,
So,
thanks, Tom.
Tom,
Thanks,
there's
Salma.
another
Over to you.
question from our finance guy. Trust me, this is a very important question. And I can vouch for you that, including me, there are quite a few peer entrepreneurs out there who has this similar question. And I think this would be something very interesting. If you already have not built it in, then to think about it. The question is this. He says, KSUM has been fantastic with early stage grants as companies like IROF graduate to scale up, which I'm sure many of your startups do. Faced with large manufacturing needs, is the state looking at providing soft loans or capex support specifically for setting up defense manufacturing hubs in Kerala? A brilliant 100, I mean, 100 points to that. So the question is yours, Tom.
So there are a lot of things that the state planned, but I'll talk about what is more likely to happen and what is already in the pipeline. KFC has increased their. I think they were giving loans up to 4.5 crores. They have increased that to up to 10 crore of working capital loan for startups. Similarly, KSIDC is increasing the amount of working capital that they give to startups. But these are based on purchase orders. For example, I think defense purchase orders or purchase orders from a well-known private player. Companies, these two firms are happy to give out working capital to help you really build it and deliver the product. What we're currently working on is how do we make it easier for companies to avail these two funding available, because the problem you need to have funding available and you need to have systems that allow people to use it. So while there is funding available now, there is still some way to go in terms of making it more easier for people to use it, because it's a slightly complicated process where you need maybe the NP oil or the other party to come in and sign an agreement, and which is very difficult for startups to pull off, because we might be a very small vendor for them, and going after them for all these agreements makes it very difficult. So we are in really advanced talks with KFC to do away with some of these rules that makes it difficult. So we will keep working on increasing this quantum of fund available and making it easier.
Perfect. Thank you so very much. And with that, a very, very, very grateful thank you too for you for being here. Tom, keep up the great work. Keep, growing the ecosystem and keep associating with us. We need more of your involvement in TechDive. We have a lot of people following us on LinkedIn and across the platforms, and having your voice would mean a lot. So, with that, we've come to an end of the Tech Dive 5. A very, very big thank you for all of you. I would like to take this opportunity to tell every audience here in Zoom and in LinkedIn and across YouTube, make Tech Dive your safe space for technology. Make it your brand. Take it across the world. And I wish the IROF team a very, very big, success for this. As I keep telling Venkat and Johns and KP, I want to be standing on a stage of Tech Dive, physical event, a global event based out of Singapore. I can actually see this happen. And that's my dream for this Tech Dive, for IROV, and for all of you. With that, signing off, mic drop on Tech Dive 5. Thank you so very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Venkat. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you. Bye.